Hey everyone, welcome to the live revealing of the 8th annual Twilight League Ryder Cup betting lines. I couldn't get the recording to work on Google Meet. I guess you have to be like a premium customer, and I'm not. So I figured I'd do a little screen record here and live reveal the lines and kind of break down the pairings for you guys. So it started off here, and hang on, I just had a little intro music for you guys, get you a little pumped up. But first off, Billy D, Nick Hand was first to make the pairing, and he sent out the team of Jack Bushinsky and Bill Cuff. I mean, Ryder Cup, studs, killed it last year. I mean, the pack runs deep. And, they don't fuck around, these guys. So that was a really strong pairing that Hand sent off right out the bat to set the tone. And Billy D responded with the athletic training duo of Mike Toth and Mark Gallagher. So I feel like the Cuffy-Jack tandem is just a little bit stronger of a pairing. I think it's one of the strongest matchups that Hand has leaning towards him. I mean, being on team Billy D, I hope I'm wrong with this, but I'm going to set team Hand at minus 150, and hang on, let me change this. It needs to be a little bigger so you guys can see it. I'm going to make that minus 150. I'm going to make the Billy D team plus 110, and I have to offer the tie. I mean, this is something that I brought up a couple years ago, that if a tie happens, the pot just collects all the winnings. And listen, this brings me to the point. The pot's paying for everything at Red Line. It's going to be, I got an estimate, it's going to be around $500. So do I juice the lines in the pot's favor? Yeah, I absolutely do. But remember, the money's all going back to you in the end. All right? No matter what. Food, CTP markers, the trophy plaques, it's all going back to us in the end. So I have a tie there offering it at plus 600 if anybody's willing. I think a couple people actually hit on ties last year. All right, so yeah, I favor Team Hand in that first pairing over Toth and Gallagher. So now is Billy D's turn to set the next pairing out. And I mean, this is just a dynamic duo. Doug and Stu. I mean, we've seen this pairing thrown out at many Ryder Cups. I mean, they gel so well together. You got Stu's just flushes the shit out of the ball. Doug on the greens at Pine Meadows is scary. I mean, there's not going to be a putt misread. He is going to be the praying mantis around those greens. I mean, that's a really good pairing that Billy D sent out. And I tell you what, Hand responded with a good one itself in Decker and Puzzy. I mean, Puzzy probably the longest player in the league when he connects with one. And Decker's just got a super solid game all around. So that's a good pairing. And I like them both. So I'm setting this one dead even, minus 120 both sides. I think I'm going to get pre-split action. You know, Doug's a fan favorite. Decker's a fan favorite amongst the league. And a tie is very likely in this one. So I'm setting a little bit lower ones there of plus 300. If you'd like to hedge your bet with a tie at all, I can't see that match being a blowout. I think it's going to come down to the wire. That leads us to the next pairing of Brent Jones and Sean Bainey, two very solid first flight Twilight guys, veterans of the league, veterans at Pine Meadows. I mean, you're just going to get a lot of experience and grinding out there from those two. Just a real good pairing. And Billy D responded with an interesting one of Ben O'Brien and Luke Ryder. I'm not sure if they even know each other. I know Luke Ryder, when we played there Memorial Day weekend, did shoot a 71. I mean, so he's got plenty of game. And we know Ben's short game is really good. So at first I was kind of, I don't know what I thought of that, but, mainly just personality-wise that they don't really know each other. But I think their games are really going to gel. So I think that's another toss-up. I think these guys did a good job. Minus 120 both ways, offering the tie at plus 300. I think I'm going to see pretty even action on both sides of that. Billy D threw out marquee pairing. I mean, you have the Open champ. You have the Masters champ. Just absolute studs together. Who did we railroad last year, Laud? Bailey and Ian, I think. Just absolutely smoked them. I mean, we both love Pine Meadows. We gel so well together, especially on the greens. So Nick Hand put himself in Bailey. Team Noodle Factory out there. I think this is going to be one hell of a match. I don't know how you could possibly pick a favorite in it, so I'm just going to run minus 120 back again. I think it's going to be real tight. Obviously, contrasting styles. Bailey and Hand are going to be a little more bomb and gouge. We got Laud with a little more, obviously the best wedge player in the group, best putter in the group. That says my plus 120. So that's going to be a hell of a pairing. I mean, that has to be one of the featured pairings there on the TwilightRyderCup.com feed that's going to be running for that. Next up, Hand sent out Scott Murphy and Steve Rice. I mean, what a pairing. Scott Murphy, I think he's played in the Pine Meadows Pro-Am once, shot 66 from the tips. Now, that was with Doug and myself on the bag, reading every putt for him, but I mean, he plays Pine Meadows as good as anybody, and steady Steve with him. That's a really tough pairing. So Billy D really, had a tough one here of who to put out. And at this point, he just had to put out his two, the Mel Kiper's draft board, just take your two strongest players and put them against it. And that's what he did in Pez and Ian. Those were his two remaining best players, and Hamburg's finest sent them out. So once again, a little bit contrasting styles there that you'll see between those two, where Murph and Steve are more going to dissect, and Pez is going to dissect the course, and Ian's going to look to overpower it a little bit. So that will be another one that's going to be real interesting to play out. I think just with Steve and Murph, I have to make them a little bit of a favorite. I mean, this is more so even protecting the book than anything. I'm going to make them minus 140 and make the other side plus 100 and give a tie option here of plus 500. Obviously, I'm on Team Billy D. I'm going to be rooting for Pez and Ian. I think it's a good pairing. This is more of me like protecting the book a little bit. I foresee a lot of Murph and Steve money coming in. I've run betting on these majors now, 5 or 6 years, and there's certain people that just get hammered with bets all the time, and Steve is one of them. Steve's been playing in the league since its inception. Hasn't played much this year with us, but everybody knows him. Everybody's seen Steve shoot sub 70 before, so they really tend to lean towards him in the betting board. So I'm just going to slightly favor that team, and anybody who wants to bet Steve and Murph, I'm going to have them lay a little bit of juice and minus 140 on. Now, Billy D sent out interesting duo here with Savakinis and Nick Marangel. I'm not sure. I guess they've both been in the league Nick's been in the league since the beginning. I'm sure him and Sav have played some rounds together. Kind of similar games. I mean, they both hit it well off the tee. They're just solid all around. I wouldn't say either really has like a super strength or weakness. They're both super positive guys, so I do think they'll bond together really well. And Hand responded with Steele and Ryder. I think this team has a slight advantage. I'd probably give the edge to Ryder as... I was going to say Ryder the best player in the pairing, but, Sav's been playing well this year too, so maybe it's a little closer than I thought. But I just think this team's going to receive just a little bit more money. I think they deserve to be a little bit of a favorites. Obviously we had Steele win the second Flight Open at Sunset this year, and Steve Ryder's played a ton with us. He almost just clinched the Ryder Cup captaincy from Billy D there that last week. So I'm going to make them just a very slight favorite at minus 130. I'm going to make the tie plus 400 and the other side minus 110. Now here, Hand was kind of strung because we have a rule where you can't pair someone together who is more than 5 spots away. So if I show you the team list here, he had Soup, and Soup can only go with 5 this direction or 5 below. So Murph, Decker, Zielinski, Puzzy, and Jones. So at this choice, there was nobody else available that he could have put Soup with but Zielinski. So we kind of had to send this pairing out. And the reason why we do that is because, we don't want to put Bailey and, Matt Murph together, just because it's not going to be any fun for for Matt Murph to play with Bailey or vice versa. Like, we try to make it as competitive as possible where each of the partners are really contributing to it. So that's why we have that 5-person rule where you can't go more than 5 in either direction. So he was forced to put Soup and Zielinski together, which is a really good pairing. And I mean, Soup from the yellows at this course is going to kill it. He's going to be tough. Those are short tees. Zielinski's obviously super solid. But listen, Billy D responded with himself and Joe. I mean, 2 absolute first flight legends in Twilight. They're there in every single major. Joe is so solid. Billy D's game is great. I think this is going to be a hell of a match. I'm going to set -120 both sides in this one. I think that one's going to come down to the wire. Just a lot of veteran savviness in that group. That'll be really fun to watch. Billy D sent out Belts and Win, and I think this is his best pairing compared to what Team Han has, where I made this first one with Jack and Bill -150. I'm going to make these guys -150 over Mambo and Matt Murph. You just have two. It's as simple as you have 2 better players in Billy D. So that means I'm making this side 110 for a 600 tie. Now, Mambo is playing the yellows, so that could be huge. All right, he, at Sunset in the major, drove it phenomenal. So him from the yellows could definitely be a big advantage. But I think Belts and Win together, I really like that pairing. Belts hits it so straight off the tee. That's going to allow Win to just let the driver eat. Now on the greens, they might not be the strongest on the greens, but neither really is the other pairing, I don't think. Mambo and Matt Murph, not exceptionally known for their putting. I mean, Mambo's going to hit every single fairway. So I think they're both going to be playing from a lot of fairways, and it's just going to come to who's chipping and putting better that day. And so I lean to Win and Belts in that. I think just it's a pretty good pairing by Billy. And and here again, Han was just kind of hamstrung with the fact that he had to get with where Mambo was drafted on the board. Mambo was up here at 11, going down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It kind of had to be with Matt Murph or Ebb at that point, and he just chose Matt Murph. And then finally, just kind of decided, it's Ebb and Gooch against Doc and Nescoda. So here we have 3 yellow players with Ebb and Gooch and Doc playing the yellows. Nescoda's going to be the only pairing, only player in the pairing playing the whites. I still think this is a tight match. I mean, all these guys are very similar in ability. Nescoda's probably got the edge on all of them in terms of ability level, but remember, he is playing the white, so it's probably negated a little bit in that term. So I think I'm just going to make it -120 both ways there. I know Doc and Nescoda get along very well, similar interests in hunting and everything. They're going to be vibing together very well. Doc's just a big-time gamer in this stuff. So even though it's Nescoda's first Ryder Cup, Doc's going to be there, that veteran presence to really pick him up, hit it dead straight. Not going to have any worries about that. And Ebb and Gooch, once again, 2 guys, don't hit it very long, but they're playing the yellows. They're going to hit it straight. Going to be a real solid matchup there. I mean, so just running down the list here, I have, a -150 on both sides. I guess I do kind of have more. I have a -140 and a -130 for Team Han, so I guess I'd be giving a slight edge to Team Han for the overall Ryder Cup. But I'm gonna make the line -120 with the overall Ryder Cup as well. Team Blue -120, Team Red -120. Put the tie at +300, and I mean, if for some insane reason we tie like Pez and I did a couple years ago, and the book just makes a ton of money, and we have a lot of drinks at Red Lion, I mean, hey, it is what it is. But yeah, I think I'm going to put -120 both sides. So I hope you guys enjoyed this live reveal here of the betting lines. You'll of course be getting the email midweek. It's one of my favorite emails to Ride of the Year, where I just go in depth on each pairing. I give you each person's Ryder Cup record, and just kind of lay it out, how I came up with the betting lines, which you kind of got a sneak peek into here. Just kind of think about, I play as much Twilight as anyone. I know everyone's game. And I just kind of have to think. There's always some favorites in Twilight. A lot of the guys who play every week, guys really enjoy playing with. I have to try to protect the book a little bit, see where the money's coming in, and kind of shade that and protect it from happening. But overall, great job, captains. I mean, in years past, I had to put some minus 500 lines out in just complete lopsided matchups. I thought Han and Billy D did a fantastic job as first-time captains. So I can't wait to see everyone next Saturday. Hope our weather's good, and I hope you enjoyed this little live feed.